There's a strange moment that happens in crowds. A moment where something is clearly wrong, and yet nothing happens. No one moves. No one speaks. Everyone sees it. And somehow, that's exactly why no one acts. This isn't apathy. It's something far more unsettling. It's called the bystander effect. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Picture this. A crowded subway platform. Rush hour. Noise. Movement. Distraction. People brushing past each other, eyes glued to their phones, minds already halfway to where they need to be. In the middle of it all, a girl stumbles, then collapses. Not dramatically, not loudly, just enough to be noticed. A few people glance, a man slows down just slightly, a woman pulls out one earbud, someone in the back cranes their neck to see. One person even takes a step forward, then stops. Because in that split second, a thought quietly appears. Someone else will help. And that thought spreads, not out loud, not consciously, but silently, from one mind to another. You can almost hear it if you listen closely. There are so many people here. Someone must have noticed. Someone more qualified will step in. What if it's not serious? What if I embarrass myself? What if I make it worse? So instead, they hesitate. And hesitation in a crowd is contagious. It multiplies. And while everyone is waiting for someone else to act, no one does. This isn't just a story. In 1964, after the Kitty Genovese murder, where reports claimed that dozens of people witnessed an attack without intervening, psychologists began asking a deeply uncomfortable question. How can so many people see something wrong and still do nothing? Two psychologists, John Darley and Bibb Latané, tried to find the answer. In 1968, they conducted a series of experiments that would reveal something unsettling about human nature. They placed participants in a room, sometimes alone, sometimes with others. Then they introduced a problem. In one experiment, smoke began to slowly fill the room. When a person was alone, they reacted quickly. They stood up, they reported it, they acted. But when others were present, something strange happened. People looked at each other. They hesitated. They tried to read the room. And because no one else seemed concerned, they convinced themselves there was nothing to be concerned about. Even as the smoke got thicker, even as the situation became obvious, they stayed seated, not because they didn't care, but because no one else seemed to. This is the bystander effect, and at the center of it is something called diffusion of responsibility. Responsibility doesn't disappear in a crowd. It divides into smaller, quieter pieces, until it no longer feels like a command, just a suggestion, something optional, something that belongs to someone else. Now go back to that platform. The girl is still on the ground. Time is passing. Seconds feel longer when nothing is happening. A few more people notice now, but still no one steps in, because the presence of others creates a strange kind of comfort. If no one else is reacting, maybe there's nothing to react to. If no one else is helping, maybe help isn't needed. Or worse, maybe it's not your place. But now, change one detail. Imagine that same platform, same girl, same collapse. But this time, there's only one person there. Just one. No crowd, no shared glances, no silent agreements. What happens? They act. Immediately. They rush forward. They ask questions. They call for help. No hesitation, no internal debate. Because when there's no one else around, there's no one else to pass the responsibility to. Back to the crowd again. The girl is still lying there. And then, finally, one person breaks. Maybe they're tired of waiting. Maybe they feel something others are suppressing. Or maybe they simply decide not to think too much. They step forward. They kneel down. Hey, are you okay? And in that exact moment, something shifts. It's almost invisible, but powerful. Another person steps closer. Someone pulls out their phone, not to scroll, but to call. A stranger offers water. Another clears space. The same crowd that was frozen is suddenly moving. The same people who did nothing are now doing everything. All it took was one person to interrupt the silence. Because the bystander effect isn't just about inaction. It's about permission. People are waiting, waiting for a signal, waiting for certainty, waiting for someone to go first. And the moment someone does, it breaks the spell. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. That someone everyone is waiting for doesn't exist, not in the way we imagine. There is no designated person in the crowd, no invisible line that decides who should act. There are only individuals, each quietly hoping they won't have to. So, the next time you find yourself in that moment, that quiet, uneasy pause where something feels off, pay attention to the voice in your head that says someone else will handle it. Because that voice, it's not logic, it's psychology, and it's the same voice everyone else is listening to. Instead, ask yourself something better, something rarer. What if no one does? Because in a crowd full of people waiting, the difference between something happening and nothing happening at all is just one person deciding to move. History doesn't remember the crowd. It remembers the interruption. The one person who didn't wait, who didn't assume, who didn't look around for permission. And the strangest part of all, that person is never special, never chosen, never different. They just made a decision that everyone else was quietly avoiding. So, when that moment comes, and it will, remember this: the crowd is not a shield, it's a test, and the answer is always you.